Every year we see them. They come from all over. We have had some from, believe it or not, Europe. They come with shovels, picks, secret maps, and whatever. We, local law enforcement, do our best to discourage them. We advise them. People have actually died trying to explore or excavate inside the myriad mines and pits in the area. Why do they come here, you ask? Listen to the last known testimonial of the event, and you will know. Sheriff McMahon relaxed on the wooden chair in front of the small jail where he reigned sentinel over the town. The day, like many in Silver Gulch, uneventful. A lone tumbleweed was blowing down the street. Watching it tumble by, he noticed a lone rider approaching from the east. He leaned forward, the floorboards gave a creak. The figure was small and difficult to identify. Something rose up in Clive. A premonition. A miasma of unease. He kept his eye on the approaching rider. As the rider approached the perimeter of the town, Clive knew why the miasma of discomfort was there. He recognized the man. It was Slim Hannon. Clive had run into Slim years ago in Dodge. At that time, Clive was just another cowpoke looking for a herd, needing to go to another pasture or to market. He recalled the man. Slim was sullen and of ill temperament. Clive had seen him shoot some cowpoke over an argument about a spilled drink. The shooting had taken place on the dusty main street, with witnesses testifying both had instigated the gunfight. The only problem: the cowpoke was drunk and Slim was not. Slim was allowed to ride out of town. Clive kept his eye on him, the brim of his cowboy hat shading his eyes. Clive noticed the subtle smirk, telegraphing Slim recognized him. Clive gave no indication of having seen the subtle facial move. He recalled the incident in Dodge, having witnessed the entire event. From the argument in the bar over a spilled drink to the challenge that was initiated. The gunfight was over in a second. The cowpoke left laying in the street as a discarded wrapper. Clive was part of the small crowd that gathered around the face-down body of the unfortunate cowpoke. Slim seemed unaffected. His only words: "Shouldn't have challenged me." Clive knelt down, turning the body over, commenting, "Fucker ain't hardly got whiskers." Slim shrugged his shoulders, scoffing at Clive's remark. "Feel bad. Buy him a razor." Clint, at that time, wanted to gun him down. But this was the West, and shit did happen. He stood up, staring at Slim. "One of these days, things might not go so well for you." With that, Slim walked off. Clive forgot about the incident, and now, years later, like a blowing dead weed and rides, Slim went to the only saloon in town. He tied up his horse and walked through the two swinging doors. Slim had broken no laws, and there was nothing Clive could do. But Clive knew, sooner or later, there would likely be trouble. And sure enough, that is what occurred. It wasn't more than an hour later that Jerry, the sort of half-wit that worked in the bar, as a cleaner came running out. His face telegraphing trouble. His arms were waving, and his signature ill-gated run was in full bloom. Mr. Clive, they be trouble at the bar." He stopped and caught his breath. "It's Mabel. Some man is being mean to her." Clive was not surprised at the news. He motioned for Jerry to calm down. He went into his small office and came out with his trusty shotgun. Clive knew that this weapon provided a staggering presence. Often, someone seeing it, this alone, was enough to diffuse any hostile attitude. Jerry led the way with his ongoing hyperventilated monologue. On entering the bar, Clive heard the ruckus upstairs. It was the unmistakable voice of Slim, that twangy, deep, almost mechanical pitch. Then the high-pitched voice of Mabel, the one working woman of the establishment. The bartender Darrell, on Clive walking in, pointed at the upstairs area, which had 4 small rooms for rent, one of which was Mabel's. Darryl explained that a customer was getting out of hand. Clive shook his head and began heading up the stairs, his footsteps on the older stairs telegraphing his approach. He knew there would be trouble and steadied the 12 gauge in his arms, keeping it at the ready. Standing in front of the door, he could discern parts of the conversation. "Listen, bitch, I get what I pay for. Now get on that bed face down. Daddy wants some of that dookie shoot." Then it was Mabel. "I done told you, I don't do that. Never have, never will." Clive gave a loud, forceful knock. Immediately it was Slim. "Whoever you be, best carry your ass somewhere else. I got me a job that needs to be finished." Clive knew the doors did not lock. He grabbed the handle while standing to the side, knowing full well that this man, Clive, was fully capable of putting bullets through the front door. He threw it open, as if propelled by a blast of wind. Mabel was half undressed. Her top was off, and her slip was the only thing that covered her lower part. Directly in front of her was Slim. His shirt was off now, standing in his boots and dirty pants. His gun belt was swung across a chair. Slim, seeing Clive, gave a surly smile. "Well, if it isn't Whiskers, I knew from that last time that I would see you again." He moved over towards his gun belt. Clive cocked back one of the hammers on the double-barrel shotgun. "Not a real good idea, Slim." Slim gave an evil laugh. "Well, it's time for Whiskers here to show some presence." He paused. "Still remember you. What was it? The boy ain't hardly got whiskers." Yeah, that was it. Clive didn't say a word, only motioning with the shotgun that it would be best for Slim to exit the room. He motioned at the gun belt. "Best put that shirt on, and then real slow and careful, like grab your gun belt holding it well out in front of you as you exit the room. Then the bar, and finally, Silver Gulch. Best keep riding west to wherever. I don't care as long as it's not here." Slim put on his shirt. Then, as Clive advised, he grabbed his gun belt with measured caution, holding it well in front of him. "Just so you know, I do get what I pay for. Done told the bitch before we came up for a silver dollar that I wanted a ride like never before. Told her I wanted special love." At this, Mabel put her arms on her hips, yelling at him. "Didn't say nothing about wanting me to let you hammer me back there." Clive motioned her silent. "Mabel, put on some stuff and best you leave the room. Once you're out, then Slim here is going to be making his exit." Slim glowered at her. "Hey, bitch, want my dollar back? Only got part of what I wanted." She started to say something. Clive motioned her silent. "Slim, she keeping what you gave her. As mentioned, you be leaving the city." Mabel put herself together, while giving wide berth to Slim as she exited the door. Doing so, Clive heard her shouting down to Darryl the bartender. "The asshole wanted to stick it in my ass?" Slim was calm as he turned to the door with the gun belt held well out in front of him. He turned his head, looking at Clive. "Whiskers, from that first time, I wanted to kill your ass. Didn't take well to your weighing in on my killing." Clive ignored him. "Just keep walking, Slim, and get on your horse. The only thing I want to see is your back as you exit town." Slim did as Clint said. With a shotgun pointed at his back, there really wasn't much else he could do. He made his way down the stairs with Clint directly behind him, the entire time Slim being sure to keep the gun belt well in front of him. Slim's horse was tied to the rail outside the bar. He went over to it and began putting his gun belt on. Clint motioned with the shotgun. "Best drape it over the back of the saddle. Once out of town, put it on. Just be damn sure you keep heading west." Slim shook his head, not looking at Clint. He draped his gun belt over the rear of the saddle and mounted his horse. He turned to Clint. "Say, Whiskers, something tells me I will be seeing you again. Maybe sooner than you think. Also, that whore up there. She going to, in the end, let me bust her cheeks or return my dollar? Clint motioned with his shotgun. Slim, best we never see each other again. Slim kicked his horse, heading west, as he had been when he rode in. His final word was, Whiskers, it might be in hell, but mark my words, we are not done. I don't suffer disrespect. Clint kept the shotgun on him. Slim headed down the main street, past the few buildings that comprised the town. As he reached the last building, Clint lowered the gun and moved toward the saloon again. Jerry was standing out front, still talking. Jerry was easily excitable. From inside, he heard Darryl the bartender shouting to him. Clint partially entered the front swinging door. Clint, wanted you to know that feller when he first came in. I knew he was trouble. Been doing this for years. Knew right from the start. It was Jerry. He was shouting and motioning as he pointed to the empty horizon. Mr. Clint, the man, he went to the side. He went behind the feed store on the edge of town. Clint, in a second, was on the front stoop of the saloon, and sure enough, Slim was no longer on the horizon. Clint shook his head. He muttered out loud, Fuck, now I gotta kill this son of a bitch. He repositioned the ever-present gun on his hip while holding the shotgun. He motioned for Jerry to go inside. As Jerry went in, Clint shouted out, No matter what, everyone stay in there. This is going to end badly.